If you are watching this video, welcome to the first ever functional sequence that I've recorded for people to do with me. We're going to keep this really short, sweet, and simple. This will be the first week, and hopefully I can get really consistent and continue to roll out these new sequences. But I want you to do this with me. Obviously, be safe, and if you feel like this position isn't going to feel good, then just don't do it. You can just observe and maybe hop in on a different exercise. Really simple. Go ahead and lay down on the ground. Just put your feet up on the wall, just as I'm doing. This teaches your spine to relax, puts the left side and the right side in the same position. And you're going to watch me do this for 5 minutes. So either watch or I suggest you get down on the ground and try it. Pretty simple. So if you're already down on the ground, close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and I want you to listen for what hip is on the ground heavier or what shoulder is on the ground heavier. Does your body feel balanced? Maybe you're pushing one foot into the wall. These are all amazing things that I want you to take a couple minutes to yourself, turn off all the noise and the phone, and maybe even turn off the lights to feel what this feels like, and just kind of disconnect from the world and get in touch with what your body's feeling. All right, so this next position, I've already been here for about 5 minutes. move our arms out to almost like a bench press position, almost like you're about to push somebody off of you. Looking at you from above, elbow to elbow is a straight line, and we're making a gentle fist. You can go ahead and keep your eyes closed once you're in this position and you know what we're doing. And all you're going to do is just squeeze your shoulder blades together and then relax. And squeeze together and relax. And back and forth just like that. Pretty simple stuff. Now, most of us have shoulders that work a little different. Right doesn't work the same as the left, and same thing can be said about the other side. So this is a great opportunity to just kind of reconnect with what the shoulders are doing. Closing your eyes helps take out any of that visual feedback from your surrounding, and it really just lets you listen for how is the function happening from one side to the other. Meanwhile, our pelvis is still in a relatively neutral position and our spine is relaxed. So essentially, we're teaching our shoulders how to work with everything else being very calm and neutral. Amazing position if you've had a history of shoulder problems or back problems or any kind of problems, because joints can tend to get dysfunctional and create pain elsewhere. Now, there's no magic number or magic rep or magic number of sets. This is one of those exercises where take your time and go through it, and maybe it's a minute today, maybe you're doing 2 minutes. I'm going to leave it up to you. Pause this video if you feel the need to. If you're getting a lot out of this, go ahead and hit pause and just keep going until you feel like both shoulders are working together. Your spine should not be lifting off the ground, just the shoulders working. That's about it, folks. If you're ready to move on to the next one, let's go ahead and do just that. So the next one's still in the same position, right? Because we want to kind of get the body, give the body a chance to be neutral. Is if you look at the video, you can see how I'm still keeping my pelvis neutral, but I'm just straightening one leg at a time. Now, what this is doing is it's helping us work the musculature of each side of the hip. And when I say the hip, I mean the leg, like the quads and the hamstrings and the muscles in the feet. And while we're doing this, we're learning to keep our pelvis still. Now, most of us, because we live in an asymmetrical world, we probably use one hip different than the other. This is a great exercise to not only understand how we do that, but maybe it's harder for me, it's harder on my left side. And because it's harder on my left side, I'll maybe take a little bit more time and see if I can get the left side muscles to just kind of wake up. I usually get a cramp pretty early on in this, and I might even get one here today. Just go back and forth nice and slow. You just saw me rotate my leg inward a little bit because when I do this, my knees tend to rotate out. So figure out where your body's at, where your function's at, and we want the knee to be pointed back the whole time. And you can even see my legs start to shake because it's not used to working the same. Now, even though I do this for a living, I also sit down a lot to teach people. So my hips are one of the first things to go unbalanced. I can do this all day with my right leg, left leg not so much. Again, no perfect rep, no perfect amount of sets. We're just kind of going to find function. So march back and forth. Maybe you do a little bit more on the left, maybe you do a little more on the right. Totally feel out what your hips are doing, or maybe what they're not doing. now it's time for the next exercise. So still in the same position. You can tell we're doing a lot of work laying down on our back in this position today because most of us have a very imbalanced pelvis or shoulder position. So we're going to start off in the easiest position possible. There's not a lot that can go wrong here. You can't really rotate or twist or do anything out of the ordinary. So it's a relatively simple way to understand movement. Now what I'm doing is my fingers were interlaced together and trying to keep my elbows as straight as possible, just bringing my hands overhead and then back down to the ground. And then right over my head, pointed towards the ceiling and back and forth. I'm asking both shoulders to finally work together. They're locked at a computer all day long. So the last thing I want to do is keep them stuck. Seldom do we reach our arms overhead. Seldom do we ever try to move outside of this little box in front of us. So a couple of these exercises today help take you out of that little box. When I say the box, I mean typing always in front of us, driving with our hands right in front of us, texting with our arms right in front of us. How many of us actually get this overhead motion on a daily basis? And the answer is not many, and we're not getting enough of the motion. So this is a really simple way to restore motion back to the shoulders. Again, no perfect rep or set range. Go until you feel good. When you feel like both shoulders are working together, then unpause this video and get back to the next exercise. Ooh, my favorite one's coming up. This is where your love-hate relationship with posture therapy starts. Before you get into this position, I want you to set a timer for a maximum 2 minutes. It is your love-hate relationship with exercises that fix your posture because it forces both hips to work so well that your quads are going to start burning. Now, notice how I'm slightly slouched. I slouch because I'm pressing my lower back into the wall. My hips tend to go interior and roll forward, which means I've got a really excessive arch in my back. When I do an exercise like this, it gets my hips and legs to work without that huge arch in my back, so it helps leave my pelvis in a more neutral position whenever I'm done with any of my posture therapy sequences. If you're listening to this and you're in this position, you're probably wondering when I'm going to stop talking because it's hard and it hurts. Make sure the pressure is a little bit more towards your heels and you're really starting to use both legs at the same time. Once you get out of this, stand up, walk around, and maybe send me a message. Shoot me an email or send me a direct message and let me know how your movement's different. Be very observant. Hope you enjoyed. This is our first go at this recorded sequences, and let me know what your feedback is.